Mohan, hi, good to have you with us. How have you been?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah.
Mohan, it's a pleasure, to have you with us. This is a conversation which has been long in the making, right?
Right.
And I've been wanting to do this conversation for a very long time, and it's largely because at Ecopay, fintech is something that everybody's been talking about last 4 5 years. We've seen the kind of disruption that has happened, right? And UPI is coming, and I think the entire, the velocity of payments, right, has taken a very different kind of shape and dimension. And I think in a growing economy, that's something which is very, very critical, right? Now, at IppoPay, you're essentially, providing a very sharp solution and largely focused towards tier two and tier three markets, right? Where you are
Exactly.
empowering them with collections of the UPIs. And these are smaller business owners, right? That you're kind of targeting, and you're also giving them a banking facility, right? So in a way,
Exactly.
you're a very interesting cocktail of two very powerful pieces, right? That businesses require in today's time. And we're going to talk more about that, in the course of the conversation. Or I'd love to start this conversation with a quick round of introduction about yourself and what's been your journey like, and moving into Ecopay from there on.
Okay, sure. I'm so happy. My name is Mohan and co-founder CEO of IppoPay. I'm originally from Rameswaram, South India. Everybody knows Rameswaram, especially in India. Okay, so
Right,
I'm from a rural village from fisherman family. I, from my school to college, I was in my village. You know, I came from the government school. Like all Tamil medium, and I finished my graduation in 2006 and came to Chennai. Everybody has to come to Chennai in that time, especially the IT industry,
right,
right?
right,
So I started my career as a web designer. So I was lacking programming skills, so we started web designer, and there are a lot of struggle here. Trust me, honestly. So being coming from village, fight with the Chennai-based, high-class English people to compete is very tough in that
right,
particular time, right?
right,
So, but the business is my passion, right? So, 2008, I got fired from the company. So I thought that's the right time to start my own business, because
sure,
if I started my own business, I don't get fired anymore, right? So,
right,
that was my journey. I started as a freelancer.
right,
I still remember. I printed 500 visiting cards. I mentioned that logo, web design, So I distributed to all 500 people. None of them called me back, right?
right,
So I was not down. I immediately printed another 500 visiting cards to start distributing it. That's how
right.
I started my business. Then leads start coming, and I built
Interesting.
a static website, a small app in those timings, right?
Right,
Then I got a small office. I started my own software and web development company called RoamSoft.
right,
Okay, I had one employee. Now the company has more than 50 plus employees. My wife
right,
is running the entire business.
right,
Okay, so being or web developer, I integrated more than 50 payment gateways in the world, right?
sure,
I started from Authorize.net, WorldPay to Stripe, right?
right,
Fintech is my passion. In India, all the payments related company started from North. No one were started payments business in Chennai or Tamil Nadu. Okay,
right,
so this was triggered my mind, and startup is always my passion. I want to create another Zoho in payments. That's
sure,
my ambition. So then I started I co-founded another startup called Felus in UAE from my software development company. I was
right.
there 2 years. Within 2 years, we become a market leader. I
Interesting.
exported the software from India, and everybody in UAE asked, who is this guy? Who is this Mohan?
Right,
Because he changed the entire industry in UAE
right,
market, right? The Arab culture. They were in the traditional banking sector.
sure,
Okay. From there, I was thinking, wow, we have done something in UAE. Why don't we do it in India, my
right,
place, right? So I was so clear when I started Ecopay, because I want to focus offline businesses. Since I am from rural area, I want
right,
to penetrate. In my village, there are 5 kirana
interesting.
stores are there,
Right,
right? So everybody 100% was cash,
right,
right? So the focus was to digitize the village's transaction.
sure,
Okay, I called my friend, now co-founder CTO Jai Kumar. Jai, I have an idea, so why don't we start? He immediately said, okay, Mohan, let's start together. We started building our product 2020 January, right?
Interesting.
You know what happened on the March? COVID hit, right? So Jay was focusing on product development. I was focusing on building a partnership with banks, right? You won't believe, yeah. Like when I called the Chennai-based, Chennai branch bank. Okay, I called them. I said, boss, I want to start a payment gateway. She asked me, what is payment gateway? I immediately dropped the call. There is no point to start, continue the conversation, right? Then I called Mumbai-based. They said, Mohan, I'm so surprised. Someone calling from Chennai to start a payment gateway. This is the first time we got a call from Chennai. Okay, so they said they can't work with you because, you don't have any background. We don't trust you, whether you can pull it off or not, right? Then I convinced Yes Bank to partner with us. That's how we started IppoPay. And 2020 November, we went live. Okay, first month we had a transaction of 10,000 rupees. Okay, so now we processing more than 2,000 crores worth of transaction every month.
Right. Interesting. Well, that's some journey, right? And I'm sure a lot of people are going to get motivated listening to you, right? I think it's spectacular, right? It's overwhelming at many levels. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the conversation. That's a section that we've kept for such learnings to be passed on, to the audience at large, right? To the founders at large. Because entrepreneurship is a difficult journey, right? Now, I'm going to move on to discussing more about IppoPay, right? So, what's the construct of IppoPay, right? I mean, you've been a late entrant in the game, right? I mean, this is a game. For example, there are market leaders, right, who've actually gone on to raise a very large amount of capital, right? There are preconceived notions around it, right? There have been very strong brand ambassadors, for example, who've come in and advocated for these guys, right? So there's a sort of a natural recall of sorts, right? And like I said, right, the penetration has been phenomenal, especially in the UPI aggregated collection space, right? BharatPay is a clear winner as far as that is concerned. When on the consumer side, you have PhonePay, Google Pay, which is kind of leading charge.
Correct.
You've been a late entrant, right? One, of course, it calls for a lot of gumption to start in the market, which already has a leader at that level. But I'd love to understand the construct of it. I mean, what's unique in your offering? How are you differentiating yourselves, to these SMEs and SMEs, last mile retailers to adopt your solution?
Exactly. It's a very good question. Most of the people asked me the same question. They said, how you are going to compete with BharatPay, PhonePay, and Paytm. So I was so sure when I started this business. I don't want to be another BharatPay or PhonePay business. Because as I said, these people are helping retail business to collect the payments, right? I agree that I'm the last entry. I strongly believe that even if another 5 people coming, right, they will have a market share because the RBI clearly says in India only 30% market is captured, 70% is still open, right? So the name you mentioned, they're mainly focused the urban cities. If you go to Chennai, you can see minimum 3 QR codes in every store. I do agree. Okay, but if you go to tier 2, 3 and 4, 5 rural areas, you cannot see any QR code, any digital transformation in India right now. Okay, so yes, BharatPay helping to collect the payments via QR code. Okay, so what about the payout, right? So if you are running a business, you might get the raw material or the product from someone else tomorrow morning, right? So you have to make the payout, right? So then you collect the payment via QR code and drop out the cash, and you go to the next vendor to buy the raw material. Again, is the cash, right? So I want to change this transfer, this kind of transaction, right? So that is why IppoPay is a neo banking solution for offline retail businesses. Okay. When we go to unbanking sector, I do have my own personal experience, right? In my village, there are 5 kirana stores are there. None of them are having a bank account. They all having a cooperative bank account, which we cannot settle the payments from the UPI, right? So when we go to those sectors, we offer them a bank account, partner with some Tamil Nadu-based banks. We give them a co-branded debit card and the QR code collection, right? So these unbanking sector, they collect the payments to the card which we provided, right? My merchant can go to the ATM, withdraw the cash if they need, or they can go to the another vendor to swipe the transaction, right? So the way we provide our Android-based application, whenever customers scan and make the payment, they get the money in the app, right? The app or the card. So my merchant can have add another vendor as a beneficiary to make the payment. So that the digital transformation is completed, because they are not going to ATM, withdraw the money and give it to the another vendor.
Sure.
Okay. So we are so clear. That is why, like, you won't believe, last 7 months we onboarded successfully more than 150,000 offline retail businesses. Okay. So when we go to market, we tell them that this is one app solution, right? You have a digital ledger, you have a point of sale software, you can reconcile everything automatically, you can pay out to the another vendors. People love us. They said, like, this is what we are waiting for it, right? Because right now they are keeping 4-5 applications. Let's say Bharat Pay for QR code. They have to go to another app for the digital ledger, OK Credit and Khata, right? POS software, they have to go to Fastest or any other software provider. You will keep your transaction at 4-5 places, which is not good, because end of the day you will get confused where the transaction is held, right? So we want to eliminate those sectors, those kind of people, and provide a one app solution to offline businesses.
Interesting. But I have a bunch of questions on that front, right? But before I do that, I would love to understand, 150,000 retailers that you kind of talk of, right? Which are the key markets that you've been able to create this dent in? Is this down south? You largely focused towards Tamil Nadu and the markets in and around, or are you beyond Tamil Nadu and now there are other southern states that you've also been able to acquire your clients in?
Yeah, all 150,000 merchants is from Tamil Nadu only. Okay, so the reason I want to focus Tamil Nadu, because of the local play, right? So we have enough cash. I may hire people from whole South India or the entire pan India to go to market massively, but that's not my focus. I want to go step by step. Right now I'm focusing on the market which I'm familiar with. Okay, penetrate the market, scale up the technology, understand the real problem, and give them a full stack solution. Right? Then my idea is to go to Karnataka, then Kerala. My focus is definitely South India for next 2 years. In Tamil Nadu is very different from South India. South India is very, very different from the pan India. So all 150,000 is from definitely Tamil Nadu. We closely work with the merchant to understand the real problem.
Interesting. Mohan, I'd love to understand the business model. Now, when you're looking at one payment collections, right, especially the QR-based players, or even neobanks, for example, right, which are focused towards SMEs and SMEs, right, towards most of this market, right. I think a large part of their cash flow or revenue possibilities dependent on lending, for example, right? And that's something which is possibly the most talked about, right? Now, lending itself has gone through a massive churn. I think we're in a very, very difficult market, right? The way markets, the complexity of the market has kind of emerged in the last 2.5 years, right? The consumer preferences are going to change, right? So there's a lot of dynamism which has really come into this entire ecosystem, right? That essentially means that lending as a possibility is going to, over a period of time, get redefined, right? While it's going to, there are certain parameters that are going to be good, which bring in more visibility, and also because the client side is becoming so much more homogeneous, they're bringing in a lot of complexity as well, because there is a lot of dynamism in how consumers buy and trade and all that, right? Now, does lending also continues to be a priority for you? I mean, is that how you intend to monetize in near future? What's the business model? Are there fee-based incomes, other products that you're looking at? I'd love to understand that.
Okay, everyone's saying that we go and lend the money, right? Nowadays, people start making jokes about lending, because end of the day everybody is going there, right? But so my focus is not IppoPay's revenue model right now. My focus we are promising our merchants, saying that they will make revenue from IppoPay minimum 5,000 to 15,000 rupees. I'll tell you how. Okay. So all the competitors, right? Okay. They have a BBPS integration time, which is a bill payments, right?
Sure.
We do have the same integration, but whatever revenue we are making from BBPS, we are giving to the merchants.
Okay.
Okay, since we are focusing rural areas, right? Even my mother is going to the store, paying money for the EB bills. Okay, so the store owner making like, let's say he is making like 20 rupees for every EB bill paid in the rural areas, right? All other competitors making this 20 rupees, but IppoPay is the first company giving the full commission to my store. Okay, and we are building a ecosystem to save digital gold, right? Everybody has the integration done. Okay, give the ability to store owner to store the gold, digital gold, right? IppoPay is the first company who built the technology where my store owner can store his customers' digital gold, right? Okay. So we are making a commission. We are giving a full commission to our merchants, right? Okay. So we are going to introduce buy now, pay later for offline retail businesses. Okay. So whatever markup we are having, we are going to share with our merchants. So this is my focus, because see, my focus is to help these businesses, right? I'm telling my merchants, the reason you want to use IppoPay or be with us to make your own money, right? And obviously, like I will definitely come up with my own monetization plan for after 2 years. I still have, but I'm not going to disclose right now. But because my main focus is to help my merchants to make money from IppoPay.
Interesting. Now, like I said, right? I mean, this is a massively competitive space, right? There are a lot of other players which are coming in. You're doing what you're doing, right? And that possibly, also I'd love to sort of refer to the funding environment, right? Now, the funding environment not necessarily is very, very conducive right now, right? We're seeing the kind of troubles and the complexities that are kind of emerging in the economy, and the global economy, right? I mean, India is just sort of kind of having a smaller rub-off of what's happening globally, sort of way, right? Some of this is here to continue, right? Now the model and the choices that you've made, right? Say, for example, cashing back or complete commissions that you're kind of earning in the process might not really create sustainability, right? I mean, some of the pieces that you're kind of referring to have smaller arbitrages, right? There's always an underwriting that you have to do with additional cost, or there are delinquencies that happen in the process, right? That just makes the entire equation very, very complex. I mean, how are you visualizing all of this? I mean, is there a certain sense of urgency which kind of has seeped in where you want to now start monetizing in some other way? I mean, I understand you, for example, have those plans where you don't want to talk about some of these pieces right now. But are there some other elements that you're looking at that you can talk about? I'd love to understand that.
Okay, I understand the question. Okay, so we raised $2.5 million from Coinbase, Better Capital, Bloom Founders Fund, along with other angels, right? So we have enough cash, and we have another vertical, which is online businesses. Okay, so we have a payment gateway, and the payout is very similar to Razor Pay model. Okay, so we are in this vertical from last 20 months. Okay, we are making enough cash and revenue from those verticals. Okay, so you won't believe that the money which we raised from Coinbase, right, still untouched. Okay, so right now we have almost 3 years of the runway in my bank account. Okay, because when I started IppoPay, I started for offline businesses. Then I realized later, okay, this business needs a lot of cash to penetrate, right? So that like imagine if I don't raise funding, so that I decided to go to online and make my own money to help my offline businesses. Okay, even if the investor is not investing in IppoPay, I have my own money. I can achieve my goal or dream with my own money.
Interesting.
So that's why we are so confident, because end of the day, the back end and the banking relationship same for both vertical.
Right. Very interesting. Mohan, would love to understand what the next 2.5 years like, right? And what have you, of course, there are many exciting things that you're doing, right? But I'd love to understand the order of priority. What are some of the pieces that you're looking at and milestones that you've set for yourself in the next 2.5 years?
Okay, so next 2 years, my focus is to penetrate or capture entire South India. So every state, like we go, we'll step our foot, understand the problem, and provide the full stack solution, right? That's my focus. And after 2 years, I will definitely go for a pan India, So I don't want to take 10 steps ahead at a time, right? So other player, right? They raised $100 million. They put money into marketing and all those stuff, right? I can't do that. I don't want to do that. That's not my cup of tea. I know, every penny is value, right? So I want to be the second place, third place, in India market, especially in the business. When I was telling this story to my friend, he told me, Mohan, why don't you focus first place, right? You can be the number one company in India right now. See, I'm so happy. The market is very big. Even second place, third place, I'm so happy. So that's my focus. My aim, I'm always telling everybody, saying that my mother 60 plus, so I want help those people to have the digital transformation. Every villages, if you go, I strongly believe, if you go to the villages after 2 years, you will see IppoPay there. Village is my focus.
Interesting, Mohan. I think that's some mission that you're working with. Mohan, no journey is easy, right? I mean, this was the end of the conversation, right? I mean, I use this to essentially capture, learnings from, the founder's personal journey, right? And like I said, right, this is not an easy journey. It's a very, very difficult path, right? But, in the process, you become a better individual, right? There are learnings that you have, and it's always good to share those learnings, right? That's how I look at it. Every journey is unique, right? The way you look at certain problems is very different from how, say, I would experience it, or anybody else would experience it, right? I'd love you to sort of give out, some of those learnings that founders can use for themselves, right? You've had a very, very cumbersome, difficult journey, right? But you are where you are. I'd love you to give out that advice, suggestion.
Sure. I'll tell you. See, the hardest part, in my life was the fundraising journey. Right? So, one of my guy told me, investor will love who had an early exit, right?
Right.
So I built first two successful business. So while Jay is building a product, I want to market. I want to raise funds. Then the investor told me, Mohan, all good. You had an existing successful exit, but it's not enough. You have to build a product and so me. I said, okay, it's a good idea. And once I built the product, I went to the investor, other set of investor. They said, Mohan, product is so nice, but you have to go to market to create a traction. Okay, that's also good. Then I went to market, create my own traction. I went to another set of investor. They told me, Mohan, traction is amazing, but the market is very crowded. How you are going to compete with BharatPay, RazorPay, Cash Free? So you need to scale up and come to me again.
Right.
I was thinking myself one day, see, every investor have their own answers, right? Then I realized one thing, myself, the investors are like my wife, our wife, right? Even if you are living 100 years, we can't understand.
Right.
Okay. So then I quit fundraising journey. I was focusing on building a product, create a scalable business model, all those steps, right? You won't believe, I pitched to more than 100 investors, more than 150 times. If you name any investor, if you go to ask them, they know me very well because I may pitch them. Okay, so that was very, very tough journey. I want to advise the other, founders, small founders, saying that, don't focus to raise funds early. Focus to building a product. Make sure that not even world class. Best product. Build a best product. Go to market. Create your own tracks, and you just wait. Investor will come to you to invest.
Interesting.
Okay. Never ever give up. If I want to give up, I would have give up 2020 itself. Right? Today I'm sitting in front of you as a small successful entrepreneur because of my perseverance.
Right.
So I was 2 days back, I was checking my first pitch deck. I realized myself, even, like if this kind of pitch deck, someone come to me and I won't invest.
Right.
Okay. So improve yourself, like make your own story, find the right person to invest. I'm sorry, find the right person to pitch, right? So that's all I can say to my my other colleague or other founders. Okay. So, I invested more than 15 startups already from my personal capacity.
Right.
So the theory is like this, whatever I got from the society, I have to give it back. Right. So this kind of advice, I cannot advise. No one likes advice. No, my request.
No, I think every, like I said, right, every journey is very, very unique, right? And I think one that kind of stands out. I think what you said, right? I think it's possibly well understood, right? It's just that in the process we just start to focus on other elements, right? We start to, other opinions become just so much more important. You're right when you say that at the end of the day, markets are the ones which are going to tell you, how good or bad you are, right? And I think that voice is is the most important voice, right? In the entire scheme of things, right? If you're doing it right, eventually there are going to be investors who are going to come in, right? And there are enough of examples. It's their job at the end of the day, right? To identify great companies, right? And I think as a founder, you have a responsibility towards your towards your customers, right? Potential customers, right? Because there's a certain trust that they're putting in you. There is possibly hard-earned, money that they have, which they're going to channelize through. I think it just becomes important that you're very, very responsible as a founder. Mohan, this has been an absolutely spectacular session. You know how I want these sessions to keep going on, right? There's just so much to learn. But I think more than our conversation at Ecopay, I think this has been heartening at a level where it's been brilliant to see your perseverance, right? And all the hard work and dedication with which you built this business, you've gotten to this point, right? Against a lot of odds, right? I think that's a great learning for I think each one of us, in a sense. Mohan, thank you so much for doing this. It was a pleasure to host you. And we look forward to doing another one very, very soon, where we discuss the finer nuances of Ecopay and how you crack these markets. How, for example, South as a market is or Southern India, right, is a massive opportunity in many ways, right? Up north, our understanding, we kind of look at it as one area, one region, right? But that region in itself has many, many complexities, right?
Exactly.
And I think it'll be amazing to talk to you about all of these, bits and pieces. Mohan, thank you so much for doing that. It was a pleasure to host you. We'll be doing this again.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this session. You know why? Because I remember my old story and I was talking about my future. So
interesting.
Past tense and future tense is completed.
Thank you, Mohan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.